Scientists can argue as much as they want about whether animals have real feelings or not, but any pet owner will know that they're not just perfectly capable of expressing emotions, like greeting you excitedly when you get home or comforting you when you're sad. They're actually so overdramatic that any one of them could compete with some of Hollywood's greatest stars. Let's get it on. There's no shortage of examples of people fainting in movies, but in real life, you don't often see a real fainting spell. Not unless you own a goat anyway. This specific breed of goat faints all the time. So often, in fact, that they're now called Tennessee fainting goats. Whenever they're startled, all their limbs go stiff and they fall over. Which is probably not the best way of avoiding the thing that gave them a scare, but even if it's not helpful to them, it's very entertaining for us. We can all sympathize with irrational fears. You know you're not in danger, but sometimes you just can't help but be terrified. This pug has found his phobia. He just can't handle having his nails trimmed. No matter how insistent his owner is that everything's going to be fine, this dog is just not able to accept that fact. You can bet he goes through this process every single time. And you can bet that his owner's laughter during all of this definitely doesn't help. Ice cream is one of those treats that gives everyone the same sense of joy, whether you're an adult or a child. But what if you're a cat? Well, this cat owner decided to find out if his cat likes a lick of ice cream. The cat seemed pretty happy to give it a try, but the reaction is something that nobody could have expected. This is probably the best example of brain freeze if I've ever seen one. Some people know how to cause a scene from the moment of birth. Turns out that's true for baby animals too. You either have it or you don't, and this kitten's definitely got it. It can shout loud enough to get everyone's attention. It can perfectly play a damsel in distress, trapped in its tower, and it knows how to fall around more dramatically than any human could. And when its worried parents arrive to help, it even takes the time to try and smack one of them in the face. Have you ever wondered why it's only dog owners that are seen out and about with their furry friends? There's a very good answer to that question. Have a look at what happens when this cat owner tries to put a leash on their cat and take it for a walk. If it weren't for the angrily flicking tail, you'd never know that cat was still alive. And there's nothing the owner can do to get it to move.
Let's go.
It gets dragged, stood up, stroked. Nothing works, except taking the harness off, of course.
Fatality.
We all know who man's best friend is, but have you ever wondered why dogs love us so much? Maybe it's because some dogs really don't like other dogs. After all, the breed of dog really does determine their personality, and some personalities will clash, or at least get very annoyed when faced with a different breed. Especially if that breed is a husky who loves singing. At least we now know, if you like to sing, you'll find that a husky is a great karaoke partner. There are a handful of young actors in the history of cinema that could outperform any adult, but it's also true that animals can beat children to an Oscar. Look at the difference in the quality of performance between this boy and that cat. The boy can't even stop smiling long enough to fall over properly, but that cat takes the time to look nonchalant before acting flawlessly. Someone should cast it in a Western right away. Anyone can get wrapped up in the excitement of live sports, but we all know that one person who gets just a little more into it than everyone else. Well, sometimes that person isn't even a person. This dog's reaction to a goal could rival any overly emotional sports fan.
And Pablo Hernandez scores a goal for Leeds United!
He was so on the edge of his seat that he literally ended up on the floor. Everyone loves a cuddle every now and then. The problem is that some people don't know when to stop. This doggo doesn't take no for an answer, and he has the skills to make that very obvious. He's mastered the horror movie eyes better than anyone I've ever seen. He even forces his human's hand back onto him, all in the name of a little bit more petting. At least he knows what he wants. Cats are masters of two very key skills, drama and staring. So when two actual cats get together for a cat fight, you often get something that looks more like this. A lot of falling over, a lot of staring, and a slow realization that they don't know how to get out of this. We've all had at least one moment in our lives where we've created our own problems. Here's a husky puppy to tell you all about the feelings you go through when that happens. Alright, I know what you're thinking. I'm being harsh by blaming that puppy for getting its head stuck in the hole. It didn't know that would happen, right? Wrong. Firstly, it's not really stuck. Secondly, it keeps going back for more. You know you're dramatic when you have to fake accidents just to have something to shout about. Some people believe that you can only achieve real happiness if you find joy in the little things in life. If that's true, then this dog must be the happiest thing on earth. In case you're wondering what that thing is that's made that dog so excited, it's a clam. Nothing has ever gotten more enjoyment out of anything than this dog is getting from its newly discovered clam friend. You have to wonder how long that bounding around went on for. Let's face it, we're all obsessed with food. Sometimes you even catch yourself thinking about what you can eat while you're busy eating. But we're not the only ones. Animals also live for the moment they get fed again. But you need to be on high alert if you're a cat, because sleeping all the time can mean you miss out on something delicious. Which is probably why this cat has trained itself to wake up instantly at the slightest chance that there might be food around. Wish I had that skill. Anyone with a child will know how important toys are. But what you might not realize is that animals have the same kind of connection to their toys, and they're just as dramatic as human babies. This dog is the perfect example of that. All he did was drop his toy. Sure, he could have jumped down to get it, but he decided that a more appropriate reaction would be to lie dramatically on the sofa and cry for ages. Sometimes life is so boring that we spend our time pranking everyone around us for a moment of entertainment, but we might not be the only ones. This cat decided that the best way to deal with conflict was to completely overreact to being slapped. It had a pretty good go at playing dead. I'm guessing either for a laugh or to make the other cat feel bad. Either way, it didn't work. The other cat just didn't care. It's not a very good idea to walk on snow barefoot, and that applies for dogs too. This dog owner got some shoes for their dog so it could play in the snow. You'd expect a typical reaction like the dog bounding out into the snow. Instead, it decided to try out its shoes as though they were made for performing in a circus. We'll never know why it thought that was an appropriate reaction, but it's surprisingly good at it. Occasionally, you'll meet someone who can genuinely say they love exercising. Most people, however, would do anything in their power to avoid it. It's those people who will sympathize with this cat. It's incredibly round and clearly enjoys being fat, but its owner decided it needed some treadmill exercise. It didn't agree, but it also didn't have much say in the matter either, so what could it do to get out of going to the cat gym? Just play dead. It's a pretty effective defense too. Good luck getting a dead cat to go walkies. Dog owners know for a fact that dogs respond very well to treats. They'll do just about anything for something vaguely yummy. But what happens when a formidable foe stands between a Chihuahua and its crunchy treat? Well, a lot of snarling. We'll never know what this dog thinks this toy is or why it hates it so much, but in the end, nothing was going to stop it from getting that dog biscuit. I have to say, I'm on the dog side here. That thing is pretty creepy. Some people just love attention, and they'll go to incredible lengths to get it. But it's not only humans who know how to get all eyes on them. This should have been a simple or even dull moment. All the cat is actually doing is walking into a room, but it manages to turn that into a spectacular performance by shouting and falling over, and then putting on a display of expertly coy eyelash fluttering at everyone who turned to look. It's a world-class performance for sure.